Hey everyone, just a reminder this is a mental health podcast, so some content discussed may be triggering for some. If you're not feeling up to it, hit pause and come back another day. We're not going anywhere. If it is an emergency, please don't hesitate to contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. That is a 24-hour service. Thank you.
Turn Up the Talk podcast, tackling mental health together.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. Live out of the Radio Hub studios in Alexandria, Sydney, it's time! Introducing the reigning, defending, undisputed mental health podcast of the world. Turn up the talk. They are joined by a mixed martial artist weighing in at 265 pounds with a record of 13 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. Fighting out of Sydney, Australia, Mark the SuperSamoan Hunt.
G'day guys and welcome to another episode of Turn Up the Talk. You're joined by Pat Clifton, Lockagoo Morris, Luke Moretti, brought to you by the Clavelli Hotel and Doors on the beach down at Watson's Bay. Today we're joined by a real special guest, someone who we've been thrilled to have on and really excited to have a chat with, Mark Hunt. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Hey, bro. Appreciate having me on the show.
No, we really appreciate it. How you been?
Yeah, not bad. Pretty good, eh?
Been training and stuff like that?
Yeah, you know, it is. COVID's fucked the whole world, but we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like you said, it's a difficult time, so to take your time to come on, we appreciate it. We've done a bit of reading of your book, Born to Fight. And in that book, you mentioned you were an angry youth with no future. Can you tell us a bit about that statement?
Well, you know, being in jail at, I think I was 15, and then again when I was 20, options weren't that good, to be honest. So, you know, I mean, of course I was an angry child. And there's no future when you're in the system already. It just becomes like a revolving door. I've been to speak at a few jails with a lot of youths, and you know, one time I went to, there's like 40 of them, ranges from 15 to like 20 or something, and you know, they're all looking at me like they think they're tough and all that sort of shit like this. But as soon as I mentioned to them that I was in jail the same as they was, I brought them to the same level that I was. So we actually sat down and they started listening instead of them thinking that I was a lot better than they were. They were angry, and as soon as I sat down and told them I was in the same situation that they was, they sat down and actually started to listen. You know, their walls didn't restrict them from changing things. And I said, just because you're there now, it doesn't mean your future is going to end up there. So they just started listening, and it was quite good. So, you know, our past doesn't define our future. So, yeah.
That's good.
And then, so you mentioned growing up, you were through the system a few times, and in your book you touched on your childhood. And you mentioned it was quite tough at times. Can you give us an insight into growing up and what you kind of experienced as a young kid?
Well, for this side of the world, it's that era, I think it was quite normal. Well, I thought it was quite normal, you know, living it. But a lot of other kids, you know, I met my ex-wife later on, and I actually found out what was normal, to be honest. So, I mean, like, you can also, you know, you can purchase the book Born to Fight and read it from there. So I don't feel like wanking on the whole day about my fucking life, my shitty life, to be honest. And the shitty upbringing. So, yeah.
So what age did you realise you want to become a fighter? We spoke about it, sort of you got dragged out of a street fight in Auckland. Was that the time when you realised you wanted to be a fighter, or was it earlier?
Not really. I actually thought I could make money out of it when I was actually here in Oz, living in Manly. I was working at a pharmaceutical factory making tablets for Blackmore's, a place called Tabco, and in Harvard. And I made in 6 months I made under $10,000. It was quite a shitty job. And when I fought my first K1 tournament, I won the $10,000 in 26 minutes. So that's why I saw something happening with that career path.
Did you win the straight fight?
Well, not on the start, but at the end I did.
Yeah. Did you have any mentors, Mark? Was there anyone that you looked to, like in the fighting, like UFC legends? Was there anyone like that, or was it just sort of, this is my path?
Well, I mean, fighting actually saved me. I think it was one guy, Sam Masters, who was my first coach, who saved me from being arrested by the cops. There's actually been a few coaches along the way. Alex Tui at Mundine's gym, Lucy. There's a few different guys in my life. Happy, and now the Fogarty brothers. There's different people in my life as I went on my journey at different stages. So, I'm at the end of it, nearly at the end of my career, which is good. 6 more fights, and looking forward to properly retiring.
Beautiful.
When you speak of fighting, again in the book, in a video clip we saw when you were talking about your book on YouTube, you said you're fighting to fight just like life. Everyone fights in life, whether it be a drug addiction, whatever it may be. What struggles have you fought in your life apart from inside the ring?
Fuck, the whole life journey's been a struggle, man. I swear. from the get-go to now, everything's like a battle. It's ridiculous. If there's not one addiction, it's another thing, And I think it's just life in general, just struggling to actually to live a proper, a healthy life, a happy life. Even now, my struggle is getting, being in a divorce. I mean, doing this sort of being single at 46, wanting to end my career happy. It's a mental journey, in the book, I talk about my 2 brothers, my oldest one having schizophrenia for 30 years, and my other brother above me, John, killing himself. They went that way. I'm still on the other side of battling, going to counseling and all this sort of jazz. Mm-hmm. It's been quite good. It's quite an eye-opener, especially with counseling and trying to fix yourself as a person.
Yeah, right. And you're talking about your career. I just want to dive into that a little bit. But what a career it's been, by the way. I mean, we all say you, and the world says you was an MMA legend because you've deserved that, and in the ring you've kind of you put your money where your mouth is. Before the fights, what's kind of your mindset during that?
Well, it depends what kind of camp I've had. Right. But normally it's just looking forward to go to work, to be honest, and trying to progress in the world. I was in a company that I thought was about 5 years ago. I thought was a great company to be a part of, a part of the elite MMA community. I do realize now that it's not the truth. And a lot of other people are coming out because they've realized already that it's not the truth. Just speaking the truth about all that's happening with MMA these days and fighting in general, to be honest. So that's my mindset with fighting. Before that, it's just trying to get that person out of the way to move on to the next fight. I just found it was hard to work with this company because we weren't just fighting against the fighters, you were fighting against them. Yeah. You're fighting against that company to get better pay, whether it be better pay, whether it be better advantages, everything. You just always argue. I always argue with these companies because, and someone said that Dana thought I was a hard person to deal with. I'm not a hard person to deal with. I'm just sick of you trying to rip me off.
Yeah, that's so fair.
So, and that's the bottom line. I mean, he can say I'm the hardest to deal with. I said to him, that's because you're a fucking crook. And you think I'm going to let you fuck me up the ass without lube or even with the lube? There's no way. I wouldn't even let you do that. So I'm a pretty fair person to deal with, especially when it comes to negotiations. But with that guy, he's just trying to fucking fuck everyone up the ass. Actually, he is.
Yeah, it's good. It's good you wear your heart on your sleeve and stand up for yourself.
Well, it's the truth, though. It's the bottom line with those guys. And you don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You can look at all those other fighters asking for more money. These guys are paying 20% of the revenue, and it should be at least 50. Although the fighters make 10% of the company, that's the only 10% you need. All those other guys are expendable. It'll take a little while to build another star up again and change it, where you can get rid of Dana White and get a new fucking bald-headed prick in there to rip people off.
How do you feel when like people, obviously most recently like John Jones and Jorge Masvidal, like people are coming out in the sort of same fight as you? Does that make you feel good? Does it make you feel like it's worthwhile?
I only did it because I was battling my own demons with these guys. They're doing it for their own purposes. At the end of the day, I knew this 6-7 years ago when I had arguments with them about money in the start. And these guys were fighting it. They knew this shit a long time ago, but didn't say anything. My fight started with the steroid cause about it being an even playing field, that they weren't allowing this. They weren't promoting the guys doing it legitimately. They were just allowing these guys to cheat and actually promoting these guys to cheat and not enforcing their penalties. The fighter pay was just on the back burner, to be honest. And when I joined the antitrust lawsuit with the other guys, that was about money. It was about the Ali Act, making it fair, trying to get the revenue from 20% to 50% that the fighters get. So they don't have to struggle from paycheck to paycheck. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's better to actually have your own business instead of being a prize fighter, because you're talking to one of the guys that was the highest paid in the world in that company. Not one of the guys that were struggling for little money, and I didn't even have the belt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always spoke up what I thought with these guys. I didn't give a fuck who they are.
Yeah.
You speak about fighting. What was your pinnacle moment? If do you have one moment where that is the highlight of your career?
The moment that I dropped the lawsuit on these motherfuckers. That's the moment that I realized this fight wasn't actually a fight between me and another fighter per se inside the octagon or the ring. This was a fight against me against that company, me against this system that they're running riot on all of these fighters, and they continue to do it because they just when I see posts of these other fighters saying, "I just got signed by the UFC. Oh wow, we're gonna take over." You ain't taking over nothing. The only thing you're taking over is fucking 20%. That's what makes me laugh. These guys think they're going to get to the stage and they're going to make things change. Man, you'll be in a lawsuit like me, bro. Trust me.
Mate, with you touched on it before with your two brothers, support networks. Do you feel like a lot of people feel like they don't have anyone? Do you feel like
yes,
it's more like you need to find someone, or do you think it's just the people around you that you need to look to?
I think the person in the dark hole needs to go, speak to people, speak to his friends, his family. If he can't speak to them, speak to counselors. You need to, you can't be a hard ass and think you're tough and shit, but you need to go and speak to someone to get help. It's not an easy journey, especially with mental health. I just started on these depression tablets. I have to go to a counselor to fix my issues that I never thought I had. Issues that I never thought I had, and people think it's just CTE. I'm like, it's not CTE. It's just issues that I've had as a child. And I have to deal with these issues. A lot of mental issues from the past. So dealing with that now has to come to the front of this battle. So just like these lawsuits and being a prize fighter, this is another battle in life, which will be conquered if you work hard at it enough. So yeah.
You said it recently about fighting your demons. I was just wondering, how did fighting kind of play into that? Did you almost feel like it was a release or an escape, or did it?
Gaming was an escape for me. Video gaming, computer gaming, and fighting was also an escape, especially with training. Training every day. Breaking the wall every day. I think that was the best thing for me. Training all the time, and just there was some phase of my career I didn't even bother training. I was so fucked up I didn't give a shit. But I think it plays a big role in your life, especially if you want to be a top end prize fighter. It comes in part and parcel with the business and the game that you're playing. Well, not the game, with the business you're in.
100%.
If I go back to, you spoke about counselling, and it's something that can be quite a taboo topic. But for someone like you, a heavyweight MMA legend, to come out and say openly, I deal with this, is counselling something you've done your whole life, or is it recent, and how has it helped you?
Well, I didn't think anything's going to help me, to be honest. I just thought I was just crazy. I didn't think I thought I was normal. Just the people around me thought I was nuts, especially my partners. I think counselling is really important. I didn't think that it would help me, but going to see the counsellor helped a lot, especially with because I felt, how is that person going to help me? It was like writing the book that I wrote. I thought, how am I going to know anything about the book? But it's, when I sat down with Ben and we spoke about different things, events that happened in life, and then he put in different people in life, and they told their story about it. And even the same thing as going to a counselor, as sitting there talking with them, you start opening up and start changing the way your mindset is, and you get some little things to help you deal with situations. For instance, I was driving from a counseling session, and I was in Newcastle, and I was driving home, and this guy cut me off. And normally I'm getting ready to stop, to start talking with this guy. But what triggered me was the window coming down. The window came down. I said, oh, okay. So I put him next to him, and then he's looking out the window. I said, oh, it's kind of dangerous driving, man. You got to be a bit more careful. And he's like, I was trying to find a place. And then he goes, who the fuck are you? And I was like, it doesn't matter who I am. I just said, you need to be a bit more careful. You might get hurt driving like that. And he goes, then he said, some sort of garbage, and he said, and then he left it. Then I just went, oh, cool. I left it like that. But I dealt with it by saying to the angry person that came out first to the front of the wall, and said, relax, Mr. Angry, I know you're there, but let me deal with this.
Yeah,
because that's something I learned in counselling, because you got to deal with your emotions as an adult. Even now, I'm probably at the emotion age of a 12-year-old, but dealing with that, mentally seeing that and dealing with it like that helped me, not pushing it further. Otherwise, I would have pushed it further and probably ended up in jail. And what really took the cake for me for that situation, that he did message me on my fan page later and said, I apologize if that was me, blah blah. And I just left and I said, oh well, that you did the right thing.
Probably saw who you were.
Well, it was just the right thing to do. It's just something stupid. It was just you don't push issues like that further.
Probably would have drove off as well, to be honest.
But you learn a lot from counselling. That's what was so good about it. Counselling has helped me a lot, and I'm still doing it. It'll probably be an ongoing thing for a while, counselling.
Yeah.
Growing up, you talked about fighting and stuff like that, and whether or not you want to dive into that a little bit deeper. But for kids growing up now who are doing the same kind of thing that you did, going through the system and fighting, what advice would you give them? Like you said, people think it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, it's not. I think the kids with the most troubles are the ones with the most problems at home. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me just get a Hey, just say hi. We're having a podcast.
Cool, my brother.
Yeah. So the kids these days don't do it these days. They take it to the next level. These kids these days have got weapons. They stab people. They shoot people. They're on a different level these days because they see these things. And I think the most kids with the most troubles are the ones that have the most issues at home, or don't have much home life. They're the ones you got to worry about, to be honest, that need the most love and help, which is sad.
So, mate, we got some fan questions here. We got quite a few, but we'll just leave it to a couple. So we got one from Cormac here. How do you manage to keep your head up in times when you felt like nothing was going right for you?
Jeez, when is that? There's all the times. There's been so many times. It's hard to pinpoint one, but I think as you can see, the world's in dire straits right now with COVID. You don't know what's going on. I think, what are you going to do? You're just going to sit down there and lay down and die? You got to stand up and get up and fight. That's the way you got to look at it. Otherwise, just lay down and die.
Got another one from McLean. How do you keep yourself humble?
Have you ever seen famous and rich people? I'm neither of those, but have you seen them?
Yeah.
They lock themselves in their own houses. They can't go anywhere. Who wants to live like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so true.
And then last one from Jack. How do you get through camps for every fight, knowing the extreme risks?
Well, there's only one risk, and there's only one risk. There's death for me, and I don't really care about death. We're all going to die. There's no fucking U-Haul behind a hearse. So everything you have here, you can't take with you. You know what I mean? Everything here is for someone else. So think about that as you go through your life. Your kids, you make stuff for them.
Yeah.
There's nothing you take to heaven or wherever you're going to go that you can make in this fucking planet right here. So that's the way I look at it. So death, I don't fear. And so what's the point? If you're going to die in fighting, that's it. I'm happy with that. That's fine. I've done my bit.
So the camps, you never thought about losing? You never worried about it?
Of course I thought about losing. That's why you train a lot harder and do things a lot harder for camps. The only thing about camps, you just got to worry about injuries. That's why you got to work with a good group of guys that help you. The work's being done when the lights are off, and when you've got to be at work is when the lights are on, when everyone's watching.
100%. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, do you kind of ever sit back and just take in what you've done and the impact you've had on people? Yourself, Tai Tuivasa, Tyson Pedro, kind of all as a team. Do you ever sit back and just kind of think, wow, I've achieved a lot?
No, not really. I haven't achieved anything at all. I've just tried to live my life the best I could, and I'm still in a fight right now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So the fight continues even now to this day, and I'm in 2 massive lawsuits against the UFC, and that could change the landscape of MMA, not just for me, but not for me, but for all the boys and girls coming through. That's the most important fight right now for me. And what I'm happy about is that people are starting to realize that they're not the actual best company. They're just ripping people off at the moment. People need to realize that, and they're slowly seeing that.
Just a last question from Bush Markham here at Radio Hub. He wanted to know how glad you are that your parents didn't call you Mike.
Yeah, well, I've had that. That's probably how I came to be a fighter. Everyone that said that to me as a kid, I got a punch in the face.
Glad you're not in the studio.
hey, I take it as a joke now. I've heard that through my whole childhood.
You said you got 6 fights to go, and obviously you're not fighting with the UFC anymore. Who are you fighting with?
Well, I've got a boxing match. I'll probably do a couple here at home, and then I'll probably try and go back to Japan or finish off with MMA. Who knows? Who knows who's fighting these days? Anyone fighting these days? Is everyone fighting against COVID, or if that's COVID's real? Who knows? Who knows what's going
on? So with Paddy, with boxing, is that the much sort of anticipated the Gallen fight and Sonny Bill, or is that completely different?
That's I think that's the Gallen fight. Hopefully, should end up in October. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Would you like to fight Sonny Bill? Would be pretty cool.
I don't think that's the question you should be asking me. I think that's the question should ask him. But hey, man, I'm not one to call anyone out. Like I said, I like Sonny and he's a good person. But hey, I'm a prize fighter.
Yeah. I'm putting the house on you to win against Gallen.
What do you think about that fight? Does it interest you because you're very confident, or what do you think?
It's just because I've got the urge back for fighting. It's been nearly 3 years since I fought for the UFC, and I'm actually looking forward to fighting on my own terms, not being forced to fight like with this fucking grubby company. The last fight what made a real turn for me was when they forced me to fight Alistair, and I was like this, you forcing me to fight this fucking cheating steroid. They said, if you don't fight this guy, I'll make you unemployed. I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's going in the lawsuit.
Well, so it got to that point, did it?
Well, it went to that point where they forced me to fight a guy, and then he was on steroids, and I said, I don't want to fight the guy unless you put a clause in. And they said, no. He said, you fight this guy, we're going to make you unemployed. And I said, okay, I'm going to send this to my lawyer. You're getting the fucking lawsuit, you fuckwits.
What? So they were fully aware that he was on the roids, was he?
No, I said, because he's been caught before. I said, I put a clause in, take his money off him if he's caught. And they said, because before that they tried to make me fight a guy named Josh Barney, who's another fucking cheater. And I said no, and then 2 days later he popped for steroids.
Actually.
And then they came with this other cheating prick called Alistair Overeem. But this time they didn't ask me. They said they sent us a letter saying if you don't fight this guy, you're going to be fucking unemployed. And I said, wow. So how am I going to feed my kids?
Yeah, that's
exactly. We know. Obviously, you're not in the best terms with the UFC, but in regards to mates you've made through the UFC, apart from the obvious, like I mentioned, Tai Tuivasa and Tyson, was there anyone that you really kind of got along with in the fight industry?
I get along with everyone. And what I don't like is the company that's ripping them off, that's putting chains on these fighters. They should be maximizing. And it's, like I said, it's not a battle against these fighters. It's a battle against this company. And these fighters should realize that they should all stand together, because one day they can change things by all saying, none of us want to fight. If 1,200 of them say we don't want to fight, where's UFC going? Nowhere. They've already sold their ass to all these television companies for the content. What are they going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
Then that's the bottom line. I've always said these guys, at different parts of their careers. They've got, that's how they can change it in one instance, by all saying, we don't want to fight. Who are you going to put on shows?
Is there anyone that you would sort of watch out for, that you have seen around or that you've seen doing great things, is going to be the next sort of big star in the UFC?
I don't really care about the UFC, and I just, like I said, any fighter that goes and works for them, they're going to go through the same issues I did. So hopefully these lawsuits can prevail and change the landscape for them, so they make proper money and do proper things. So right now, when you talk about UFC and then fighters signing for them, for me, it's just like, you just waste the time.
Yeah.
It seriously is a waste of time, because they're going to get to the stage where John Joneses or people like me ever come in and goes, okay, now they're going to have to deal with this issue. If we don't win these lawsuits, they're going to deal with this issue. They're going to be out there going, oh, we need this, and that. What are you talking about? This guy, so that's how it works. So it's just a shit. Yeah.
Well, Mark, we know we love what you're doing. We love the voice you have and what you're standing for, mate. It's really fucking inspirational, especially to young fighters coming up, who've got a voice to stand up. I think it's really good what you're doing as well. And, we're really excited to see. Yeah, go on.
I think it's good that you guys are doing your podcast and spreading the word, so all the young boys and girls coming through can understand this is what they're getting into. It doesn't matter how good you are, how this and that. You can't really be that good when you're getting shackled by the company that's screwing you. And look at the guys like John Joseph. These guys are at the top of the game. They should be making the same as Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, but they're not.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you can take that in all aspects of life, not just that company.
Yes.
I'm sure there's
that's right. It's not just
plenty of other
fighting,
companies doing that people, and you're making a stand and encouraging other people to do the same, whether it be UFC or not. So
yeah, it's unreal.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time, mate. Keep spreading the word, man. It'll be sooner or later. Hopefully these lawsuits are won and the landscape change for the boys and girls coming through.
And like I said, for you to be a heavyweight fighter and come out and speak so openly about your mental health battles, that's what we're trying to spread the word with. So thank you for joining us, mate. We really appreciate it. And good luck in your upcoming fights.
Yeah, can you see you back in the ring or octagon, whatever it is.
Thanks for the time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Bye.
Once again, guys, thanks to the Clovelly Hotel and Doyle's on the Beach down at Watson's Bay. They're great to us, and thanks to Mark Hunt for joining us. That was awesome. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.